Today I'm going to be adding some tip-ins to my junk journal. So this is for the No Sew November prompt of folded page. So when I thought of folded page, the first thing that came to mind was tip-ins, and I have a few ideas for how I want to add them specifically to this format of journal that I thought might be fun to play around with and do something a little bit different. So I just brought out my Creative Commonplace junk journal that I have going on, and I've been adding like a lot of different tip-ins and extra pages to this, as you can see. So I think this is kind of what's inspired me in terms of adding extra things to my journal pages. It's something I always like to do, especially with having different papers and different sizes and things. You can really do a lot with adding extra pages because it gives you more space to write on, more space to create things. And so I just thought it would be fun, especially with this no sew format, to see how that goes in terms of where I can add the extra pages. So as you can see, I've got a few different things around me on my desk here. I've got scrap papers, I've got paper bags, offcuts, some cream paper, even some plastic packaging, and some washi tape. So with this journal being the longer format, I think there's two different ways that would be fun to add extra real estate to the journal, and it'll just give me more space to work on, especially with this being such a small sized journal. So the obvious way I think would be to add them sort of as the pages fold, so having a tip in that works like a regular one and goes like this from left to right. But I was also thinking about doing it the opposite way, and so having papers that are folding out this way as well. So that way it doesn't matter whether I still want to do the journal that way or that way, it will like fold out in the opposite way. Now I don't think I'm going to get carried away and having like, you know, the journal folding out in all different ways. Like that would be way too chaotic for my desk, but I just thought that it would be fun to play with the journal that way and that way, seeing as we have the freedom to do that. So I think I'm just going to add a few of these fold out pages, see how it goes, and then I can always add more throughout the journal if that's something that I'm enjoying the format of, and you know, if I need more space to work on. And I've just grabbed some paper clips as well, because I think that those will come in handy to make sure that the fold out pages don't go everywhere when we've not got the traditional binding of a journal. So the papers that I've got, because I had a few different ideas of like the types of folded pages that I wanted to do. So I've just got some cream paper here just to have as a contrast to the craft paper, and I thought that this would just be like a really easy way to add an extra page, because it's just the paper is plain, and then I've got the option to add whatever I want to it. So I'm just going to sort of go for slightly smaller than the width of one of the envelopes here, so that it doesn't get in the way when the journal is folded. And I'm just going to tear it because I think that it's nice to have a bit of a ripped edge there. And see, I don't know, that might be a bit too much for the journal. So what I might do is maybe just go for, because I was thinking I could either do just like one fold on the page, or I could do a double fold and go like around the journal, if that makes any sense. So let me just measure this out so I can show you what I mean. So I might do it maybe not quite the full length, and then just tear it to get a bit of an interesting edge. And so maybe, tell you what, let's put it on this page just because I've got the flower going on that page. So I think that might be a little bit more interesting. And then, hold on, let me make sure I've got this flat on my desk. And then I'm just going to grab some washi tape. So maybe let's go for something a little bit neutral. So there's two different ways that it could fold, but I'm just going to put some washi tape on the other side of this just to make sure that it's secure. If you don't want to see the washi tape, you could obviously use like sellotape to have something clear on the join, but I don't mind having a nice decorative washi tape for something like this. So it folds out there, and then I can fold it around the journal here. So as you can see, it's folded back on that side, and then I can tuck it up this way, and maybe let's do a little bit less of, oh, that wasn't what I wanted to do at all. Something like that. I'm gonna have to do some surgery on that. We need some emergency scrap paper. I'm not being perfectionistic about it, but I also didn't want to rip that section there. So let's just add a bit of scrap paper there just to keep that together. What is it they say? There's no mistakes, only happy accidents. So there we go. Let me just put that on there, and I'm sure we can do something with that eventually. And that way then I have a little fold out there that then also you can use the reverse here, and also this side. So you've kind of got 1, 2, and then the way that it looks when it is tucked up like this, and then this is where the paper clip would come in. So I could either put it on the edge here, or maybe because I've torn this one, we can just use like that. That way then we've still got the pocket, so maybe like that. There we go. And so that was a quick and easy way of adding an extra fold out page to one section of this journal. So that's something a little bit different, to have the tip in actually folded around the page rather than tipped in a traditional sense, just because I thought that maybe I didn't want all of the fold outs to be on the edges, because it would get a little bit unwieldy, I think. So this way it's kind of a little bit more controlled, and we've got the extra space as well. Now that I've shown you how it looks with this piece of paper, it might make a little bit more sense why I pulled out a piece of just recycled plastic for this, because I figured that it could be fun to have a see-through element to this as well. So I'm just going to cut a section of this, and I can then use this as a transparency for when I'm doing something in the journal as well. You could also use tracing paper or vellum would be nice for this, but I've just got this to hand, and I was literally going to put it in the bin, and then I was like, oh wait, actually I could use it in my journal page, because I think that it will be a nice way to have something different on the page. So maybe let's add it to this one, because there's something that I don't necessarily want to cover up, and so that way I can have this piece here. So I might join this one from, let's see, I'll cut this bit a little bit shorter because I've got that like fold of the plastic there in the middle. So let's just cut this one to be a little bit shorter. And I think I might actually use a stapler for this one, just because I don't want to be able to see the washi tape. So I'm going to keep it fairly high up towards the top here, so I don't block off one of the pockets that I've got. And there is another fold out section, so there's another on the back there, transparent layer that I think will be fun to work with on the journal. So I definitely want to see if I can find where I've put my like tissue paper and tracing paper. I can't find it, but I think that would be a really nice addition to this as well. So I don't really want to add something like this on every single one of the pages of this journal, but let's just add, maybe this is quite busy up here, so let's move further down the journal and show you the third way that I was thinking I could add something extra to this journal. Let's go maybe here. So the third way that I want to add an extra fold out to this journal is to have this as a bit of a patchwork. So the traditional patchwork style of pages that I've done for these concertina style books, I wanted to do that but as an extension of one of the pages. So that's why I've got all of these different scraps here, because I'm just going to essentially glue them together and create a longer page that I can then fold in and have included in the journal in the same way as I did the first tip in, but this way I can use up all of these little scraps of papers that I seem to collect and turn them into a page for this journal for when I eventually, you know, work on different sections of this. So let's just take this piece that came off the other page. And I could maybe even just add in some areas of washi tape as well. So basically just create a big patchwork of collage papers and then attach them as the journal page itself. And I'm just going to make sure that obviously it is not too wide for this piece of the journal. And of course this is just a base layer as well, so it doesn't really matter what it's going to look like, because once we start working on it, it will look a lot different in its sort of finished state, if you will. And for some of the flimsier areas, I'm just going to double up with some extra pieces of collage. So I think I need a piece here and a piece for this corner as well. So let's take some of this music paper. I think that works quite well as a corner. And then I think something here, because that's feeling a little bit flimsy, or maybe that piece actually, because it's a bit of a nicer colour. Yeah, I think that works well on that side. Oh, and then we have one little piece there that's missing something, so let's grab a little piece of pink, shall we, and just tuck that around both sides. So you can see this is like a really quick and easy way to put these extra page extensions together. This doesn't have to be a time consuming sort of challenge or journal prompts. And I think the fun thing as well about working on these pages, dotting around and not fully like doing one idea, is that I can have the freedom to play around with these more creative ideas. Okay, so this is my little patchwork extension page, and so I'm now going to attach it to this journal page itself. So we're going to go for this way round, I think, and I'm just going to use some washi tape that's been buried under all of my papers. Maybe let's go for this pink here, just for a bit of colour. So there is my folded out piece there. That's going to be a little tricky to show you, but it obviously folds both ways. And then I think I could either tuck this underneath like I did with the previous one, and so have it on that side, but I think I might fold it back on itself for this one, just to have something different. So I'm going to fold it up like this, and then I'm going to fold it back on itself again, because why not? And then grab one of these paper clips and just do it underneath the envelope there. So I've still got my pocket if I want to there, and then I've got this extra piece that I don't know, I could put something in there if I really wanted to, like you could put a little tag in there if I've got one. If I really wanted to, I could also tuck a tag in there, but I think that might be a bit much for now. I just wanted to add these extensions of the pages, but you can kind of see how that will come together as one little page, and it's almost like a little like controlled fold out where you've got that element and it still pops open here. You've got your tag if you want it, and all of this extra space that you can work with in the journal. And yeah, this also doesn't restrict if I then want to still have the journal be this way, because then it would just look like it's a sort of side tuck spot and it would just fold out in that way. So those are the 3 folded pieces that I've added to this journal. I've got this sort of folded tuck spot element, and then I also have the transparent layer that we've got here that's on both sides of the journal, which works really nice to have as a see-through layer that I can then do some collage on, and I've just attached that with the staples. And then also the wraparound fold out page that again I've used just a paper clip here to attach it, and it goes around onto the reverse of the No Sew journal. So those are my fold out pages. I'd love to know what you have included today for your No Sew November journal. Thank you as always for watching, and I will see you in the next one.